If you're a wife who's tired of hearing critical things like, why do you always take so long? Now we're going to be late again. You always make us look so bad. And you find yourself thinking, why does he have to be so negative all the time? I want you to know that there's something you can do to change this pattern. I know that when you're on the receiving end of criticism, it can feel like there's only one solution. Your husband needs to change. And if he won't, then you're stuck. So the good news is that's not true. I am Lindsay. This is Loving with Intention. Let's dive in so I can give you the exact steps that you can take to change this pattern. So for this video, we're just going to stick with that one example of your husband saying that you're making you guys late again. But the response that I'm sharing that you can give to change the critical dance is going to apply to all kinds of criticism. Criticism often starts with the word why, or it includes the words you always or you never. Criticism attacks your character. So you're so lazy, you're so argumentative, you're so emotional. So that's sort of highlighting criticism. And as always, my content does not apply to abusive or unsafe relationships. So before we get into exactly what you can say to change this dynamic, I want to say right out the gates, I know that it is not easy to go first. I feel like I'm very handsy today. I know, my goodness, to be the one to change a pattern, especially if it's a pattern that starts with him being critical, it's not easy. When I'm working with women, I literally come back to this over and over again. It is not easy going first. It can feel like he's the one being a jerk. Why do I have to do the work? I like to give my brain like a little flipperoo and be like, not why do I have to do the work, but I get to do the work. I get to choose to get intentional, to change the dance, to create a happier relationship. Because the truth is that both partners bring unhealthy patterns into every relationship. There are unhealthy patterns that you have that he doesn't have and vice versa. So this gets to be a choice. This gets to be a commitment. And I am not saying that you have to do this. Of course, there are other options. You could do nothing and things probably won't change, or they might get worse, or you could choose to end the relationship. There are other options. What I'm sharing today is the option that you can take when you really want things to get better and you're willing to try something new with consistency. And it's not easy. And I know that. It can actually feel easier sometimes to just stay where you're at and keep doing the same old thing because it feels comfortable, even if it doesn't feel good. This choice to change takes intention. So criticism, it's one of the Gottman's 4 horsemen, which is one of 4 communication patterns that predict relationship breakdown. And what often happens when we're criticized is that we fire back with another one of the horsemen. So we give criticism back, or we get defensive, we stonewall or shut down, or we show contempt. So your husband says, why do you always take so long? Now we're going to be late. You always make us look bad. You might criticize. I'm always late. Must be nice to have time to get ready because you never do anything around here. Or you might defend. I do not make us late all the time. We were on time last week. I've been so busy this afternoon. I haven't had time to get ready. Or you might shut down or stonewall. You just go completely silent. Or you might show contempt. You might roll your eyes and tell him he's such a jerk. This is a super common dynamic. And what usually happens next is, it's usually more horsemen. It's a cycle, a negative cycle, a downward spiral. And if you think about it now, this cycle that the two of you get in, it actually doesn't matter who started it or what it's about. Your cycle tends to look the same no matter what it is. You take the same roles. So maybe he criticizes, you defend, he criticizes more, you shut down. Or he criticizes, you shut down right away, he keeps pushing, and you just completely pull away. There are a few different combos that could make up someone's cycle. And if you're in a relationship long enough, you will have a repetitive cycle. When I'm working with clients very early on in our work together in the love journey process, we actually map out this cycle. Mapping out the cycle means you get to know what's under the surface, which means that you can break it, which is amazing. So rest assured, if you can relate to a negative cycle of that back and forth of horsemen, you are not alone, and I have got you, because this is where you changing the dance comes in. Your husband doesn't even need to know what the heck a repetitive cycle is. So just imagine this. Imagine he just criticized you with that you're making us late thing, and you didn't jump into the cycle. You didn't choose your usual response of criticism, defensiveness, shutting down, contempt. Just by pausing here, you're already changing things. You pause, you take 3 deep breaths, give some love to that sweet, sweet nervous system, and then when it comes to criticism, your new response is to take responsibility. I can just imagine, like, wait, what? Take responsibility? Those were my thoughts too when I learned that this is how you can change the dance if your partner is critical. I'm like, why in the world would I want to encourage a woman to take responsibility when her husband is being critical? That sounds awful. That sounds like I'm saying, be a pushover, accept crappy behavior, let him walk all over you. And then I dug deeper. The research from the Gottman Institute shows that this is truly the way to break a critical pattern, to stay out of that downward spiral, that cycle. The truth is, if your husband says, why do you always take so long? Now we're going to be late again. You always make us look bad. He is being critical. That's not okay. And criticism is an unhealthy strategy to get a beautiful, valid need met. We all use unhealthy strategies to get our needs met. Maybe you don't criticize in your relationship, but you will have your own unhealthy strategies you use. So taking responsibility, this new response, it might sound like, you're right. I totally didn't start getting ready early enough. I know you hate being late. I'm sorry. Taking responsibility does not mean taking responsibility for everything, like you're not owning that piece of you make us look so bad in front of our friends. It means looking for the truth in what he's sharing and getting curious about what's underneath his harsh words. In this moment, you are choosing to de-escalate the situation and prevent a downward spiral. If he's being critical and he's upset about being late, his nervous system is likely activated. And when you hear his criticism, likely yours is activated, which means de-escalation, regulation is the very best goal in this moment. When our nervous systems are activated, we say and think things that we wouldn't normally say or think when we're regulated and calm. You choosing to de-escalate versus jumping into your own unhealthy patterns, this is changing the dance. Does this guarantee a perfect response from him? Nope, absolutely not. But you are far more likely to hear an apology in the moment or later when you take responsibility and validate his frustrations. You are far more likely to be able to reconnect. You are far more likely not to get into the negative cycle if you choose this kind of response. So then what? Are you just supposed to carry on like everything is perfect? Like it was all your fault? Like you do make you guys look bad in front of all your friends? Absolutely not. But if you address your hurt feelings or tell him that speaking to you like that isn't okay, if you do that in this heated moment, because of your nervous system states, he's really not likely to hear you. Like really hear you, truly get you. When we are activated, so much goes on. Some of those things are losing touch with empathy, compassion, understanding, being able to see two different perspectives. We're not in a state to connect because our nervous system is trying to keep us safe from a threat. Just imagine you're out for a walk and suddenly a bear approaches you. Your nervous system is going to be activated, but then one of your friends pulls up in their cars right beside you and they tell you that you hurt their feelings last week. You wouldn't be like, I'm so sorry, I shouldn't have said that. I can totally see why you'd be upset. You, instead, would be completely focused on trying to stay alive. To the person in the car, you would actually look like you don't care about their feelings at all. So fortunately, our nervous systems are really good at keeping us safe and alive. Unfortunately, our nervous systems don't know the difference between a bear approaching you or you telling your husband that what he said wasn't okay. If he's activated because he's got a trigger around being late, which that's a whole nother story, it may have nothing to do with you, he's not going to hear you in this moment. That's why de-escalation is the goal in the moment and why bringing up your feelings outside of the moment is far more impactful for both of you. When we are regulated, calm, and connected, we have the capacity to hear feelings. A great way to approach when you come back after this conversation, when you're feeling connected, would be something like, I love you and I totally know how important it is for you to be on time. I messed up by not getting ready earlier. So you're taking that personal responsibility. And then you're adding, and I would love if next time you're upset with me, if you could tell me in a different way. If you just let me know something like, I'm not okay with this, that would feel so much better. I want to shut down when I feel blamed like that. And I'll work on being on time too. So this is encompassing so many things. You're taking responsibility, you're giving him love, you're showing that you're there to connect, you're holding your boundaries, you're painting the dream of what you would love. So many beautiful things. And like anything, this takes practice. This is exactly what I help my clients with, breaking these patterns with consistency and confidence. And if he escalates anyways, like in the moment, if you have this response where you take responsibility, you can absolutely have boundaries while still holding that responsibility. That might sound like, I'm really sorry, what you're saying is important to me, and I can't hear you when you say it like this. Then you can also take healthy space. A timeout gives you both space to regulate, and there's ways that you could do this that actually bring in so much love and create safety in your relationship. When you do bring up those feelings outside the triggered moment, it still doesn't guarantee that you have a perfect response from him. It just makes it way more likely that you're going to be heard and can repair. The criticism conversation is nuanced, like everything. There are so many different angles that we could explore here, but it would be a really long video, like things like, what if we weren't actually late? What if we didn't have a set time? What if he doesn't change? But again, this could be really long, so I'll make more videos about this in the future, if that would be helpful. For now, responding to criticism by finding something to take responsibility for with consistency is a powerful way to change this pattern without needing your husband to actively work on things. Of course, he may start to engage on working on things. It's what people tend to see when they do the work with consistency. And remember, you have unhealthy patterns too. If your husband came to me and told me one of your unhealthy patterns that was hurting him, like criticism or defensiveness or shutting down, whatever it is, I would be telling him what he could do to break that pattern, which would require him looking at his own stuff, because we can't change someone else. It's so important to bring our humanness into this. We see our partner's unhealthy patterns so easily, of course, bless us, because they hurt us and we want things to be so much better. And we often don't think about our own patterns. This is your chance to see your role in the dance. When we think that the only way that things can change is if he changes, we stay feeling stuck and hopeless. But when we see our role and get empowered to change things, we get to bring hope back in. And if you are a man watching this and your wife is critical, just flip the he for she in this video and you can empower yourself to create the change too. Your intentional action for the week is to practice those steps. Pause, take 3 deep breaths, find one true thing you can take responsibility for in that criticism, respond with that responsibility to de-escalate, and then have the deeper conversation later. Doesn't have to be a big, deep conversation either, when you're both regulated and connected. And speaking of connection, I know that it can be really hard to be kind and loving and caring when you haven't yet had the conversation about your hurt feelings. This also takes intention. This is a huge thing that I have seen change in my relationship over time. Years ago, there was no way that I could act normal after my partner said something that hurt me. It did feel like I was saying that behavior is okay. But over time, we build up enough evidence that we actually do return to the conversation and repair. So now, if something hard happens, I can trust that we're going to come back to it when we're more connected, when we're regulated, which means that we can both lean into reconnecting more quickly, even if repair hasn't happened yet. And he does the same thing too when I'm rocking out my unhealthy patterns. We have really learned the power in the pause in our relationship, but it does take time and intention. And it's a whole lot easier when you're filling your love account regularly. The video on the screen is all about the power of the love account and how to fill it. It is a key foundational part of your relationship that helps the de-escalation of conflict and the reconnection and the repair. You are not changing a moment every time you respond in a new way to criticism. You're actually changing a pattern. You have got this. I am sending so much love into your day. Remember that nothing changes if nothing changes. So let's have a super intentional week. Bye.